Welcome to TBL Scope. I'm Kyle Koster. That guy in the box is Stephen Douglas. Stephen, we got to talk about Major League Baseball and its never-ending quest to potentially get on the field this year. The new proposal today sent to the Players Association was 76 games at a 75% pay for the players. It seems to be dead on arrival. I guess my question for you is, what do you expect this season to look like? Are we going to get one, and how long do you think it's going to be?
Well, it sounds like, sorry, I had a little feedback. It sounds like no matter what, there's going to be a season, even if they have to do a 48-game season. I expect that with every passing day, the potential schedule will get shorter and shorter and shorter. And the money doesn't appear to be increasing for the players either way. So, it sounds like we're going to see baseball, but it just sounds like we're not going to see very much of it.
Yeah, and the question becomes, I think there's a lot of positive elements to this structure of a season that's basically a mad dash to the pennant. Because if you created a season, worst case scenario, where they think it's going to be 48 games, every single one is going to feel like an NFL Sunday. You have a bad homestand and you could play yourself out of playoff contention. And I think that that's a really interesting thing, especially if you're a fan of a team like I am, the Detroit Tigers, who are expected to be bad. Well, in a 48-game season, it's possible they put together 24 wins and flirt with the playoffs. So I think that there's signs of optimism if they can just get on the field. But I'm kind of with you. I don't see why a player would want to play almost 30 more games for slightly less money. It just doesn't make sense, not when there's all type of health issues at play. And you wrote this morning that there are some serious concerns because it doesn't seem like many I's have been dotted or T's have been crossed when it comes to the health side of things on this plan.
Yeah, it seems that no matter how much negotiation they do over the money, that it's just kind of distracting from the real problem, which is once they've agreed to anything, they have to actually be able to put players out on the field. And if they don't have the right precautionary measures, if they don't have the right people backing them and saying, yeah, this is all right, then it doesn't matter. And it just seems like apparently they have like a 67-page plan, but like none of the health departments have seen it. So it really feels like even when they do figure this out, they won't have totally figured it out yet.
Yeah, and it is crazy because the advantages that NHL and NBA have is their season is almost done. Like they have 20% of the games remaining or whatever, if you wanted to take it in aggregate. So you can see plowing through and potentially avoiding a health scare or a real concern. Major League Baseball doesn't have that flexibility. They still have to play the whole year. Like they've got nothing in the tank to fall back on, and they're not abandoning something that they've started. So I think that it's a really big difference to hammer out the details to start a season than it is to just continue one. What is your thought on how do you feel? We talked about a little bit about this in the chat about missing sports and how it's been as time has gone on. I would say I'm a huge baseball fan. I love the sport, but I'm not like losing any sleep over the potential that they're not going to play this year because I don't think that anything has really changed. I'm still going to love baseball. I'm still going to know that the owners are this group of people I'm not too interested in supporting. I'm going to blame them for it not working because it seemed quite clear that the players want to play. And I'm also opening up to the possibility that if baseball starts, they'll have to abandon the season when the second wave, although are we done with the first wave, comes in. And that would make it actually bad for baseball. So I'm kind of in the camp where I'm not understanding how all of these people are going to turn on baseball because they weren't able to come back to the field this year. What's your thought on that argument and how it's going to be felt by people?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines as you. I'm a lifelong baseball fan, but at this point in my life, I'm not concerned about regular season baseball. It's not a part of my routine over the last decade. I mean, when it gets to playoff time, I would watch most nights, but that's months away. And as for like basketball, hockey playoffs, I would turn them on. But right now, I miss them, yeah, but they just seem so unimportant right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why I feel that people's bandwidth is so stretched already, and there's so many things going on, and people use that as an argument to say why they won't come back to baseball. But are people really going to use a labor situation against a sport in aggregate for a reason why they're not going to watch the next year? Like, don't you think there's going to be some more important real world stuff going on, filling up that space in your brain when it comes to the next season?
Yeah, and even this financial problem they're dealing with right now, it's not like a regular year where they've got every other sport going on and they're arguing over, they're still arguing over a ton of money, but it just seems so unimportant. And you have to wonder if they'll really hold it against baseball in having this problem at this time. I mean, in addition to all the regular political stuff and the Black Lives Matter movement, they're really just erupting in the last couple of weeks. Then there's just the pandemic that's on a back burner right now. I mean, how how much can you hold that against baseball players and baseball owners for not figuring it out, especially when nobody else has even figured it out yet?
Yeah, it is interesting. They're being prejudged for not doing it, when in reality, if they hammer out a deal, they will be back before the NBA for sure. The new start date proposed today was July 10th as opposed to July 31st for the NBA. So there's still a really good chance that they're the first sport back if there's going to be baseball. So we'll have to see where that goes. I think the real concern is, what is your take on the owners' offer to players, which is getting slightly better? I think that the revised math now said they get 35% of their salaries as opposed to what 31 they would get if they played the 48 game season, the nuclear option. What do you think it says about them that their counter offers are so infinitesimally like better? Does it really show a desire to get a product back on the field? Because it really does not to me.
Yeah, it just seems like they're just moving like it's a real negotiation with no time constraints. And they're just going so slowly and being so tough negotiating that, I don't know, just eat a couple $1 million. We people have to cry and kick and scream to get the minor leaguers a few $100 a week. And, and to pay all the stadium employees. And it's just like, just eat it for a while, okay? Just suffer. And by suffer, I mean don't rake in an extra few $1 million. I mean, they're not going to have to downsize their multiple homes. They're baseball players aren't either, but I mean, the guys lower on the pay scale, they have rent and stuff, especially the minor leaguers. It's like, just get something done. Nobody's getting everything. So just take it.
Yeah, and it's so crazy to me. I'll just to be my last point on this topic is that, for some reason owners of professional sports teams, maybe because they've gotten the benefit of the doubt for so many years with taxpayers building these billion-dollar stadiums and whatnot. Shout out to that famous HBO ad. But you're not guaranteed to rake in a huge profit every single year just because you have a business. Like, it's not his God-given right to turn a profit that year. Like, it's the same as any other business, and every other business is struggling and trying to figure out what they need to do. And you have two options, right? You can take that out on your employees, which it seems to be is largely the first step that big corporations do, or you could just realize that this is part of the risk that comes with owning this huge entity. And I'm gonna guess that you don't have a lot of sympathy when it comes down to labor versus management.
No, no, not really. And, if you take a little hit this year and get as many games as you can, and gives fans something to do during this time where a lot of people are still desperately looking for something to do. Not everybody has 2 children and they don't have any time for anything. So if you do what you can this year for the fans, then they will be back next year. But if you don't do it for the fans this year, maybe they won't take pity on you because you lost the season because of a pandemic. Maybe they will say, you know what, this is it for me with baseball. And, they are still trying to recover from 1994? So do it, and then there'll be more money to make next year.
Yeah, really good point. I think it's you got to look at the long term, and you're making a decision not just for this year. All right, I'm Kyle Koster. That's Stephen Douglas. Thanks for watching TBL Scope.